Have you ever just wished you could learn things like twice as fast? Well, today we're going to unpack a really powerful framework from brain coach Jim Kwik. It's called FAST, and it's designed to help you master pretty much any skill in record time. Let's dive right in. Okay, so to really get this method, we first have to understand the problem it's built to solve. And it's a problem I think a lot of us are dealing with every single day. I mean, seriously, do you ever feel like you're just drowning in information? You got articles, podcasts, emails, books. It's a constant flood, and trying to stay on top of it all can be completely overwhelming. If that's you, you're definitely not alone. And here's the thing, it's not your fault. The problem isn't you. It's that our world has just launched itself into the future, but the way we learn, it's often stuck way back in the past. We're trying to navigate an information superhighway with a horse and buggy. It just doesn't work. So, our guide for this is the amazing Jim Kwik. He's a world-renowned brain expert who spent his entire life helping people learn better. And get this, he's so good at what he does, he was actually hired to help the cast of the X-Men movies memorize their lines and get into peak mental shape. How cool is that? See, Jim believes that learning isn't just some chore we have to do. He says it's our ultimate superpower. It's the one skill that unlocks every other skill you want to have. And that's the mindset we're going to be working with today. So, here's our game plan. We're going to break down each letter of his FAST method. That's forget, active, state, and teach. Let's get to it. This right here is the core framework. And FAST isn't just about going quicker. It's a 4-step process for learning that's actually effective, that goes deep, and that really sticks. So let's break down that first letter. All right, so the first step is F for forget. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Forget? Isn't that the opposite of what we're trying to do here? Well, it sounds counterintuitive, but it's all about making space for the new stuff. I want you to think of your mind like a cup. If that cup is already full to the brim with everything you think you know, there's just no room for anything new to get in, right? It'll just spill over. To really learn something, you have to adopt what's called a beginner's mind. You have to empty your cup so it can be filled up again. So what do you need to forget? Well, there are 3 big things. First, just temporarily set aside what you already know about a subject. Second, forget about any situational limits. You know, the idea that your age or your background hold you back. And the most important one, forget your perceived personal limits. Your brain's capacity to learn is just about infinite. Next up, we have A for active. This is a huge one. It's all about making that shift from being a passive sponge to being an active participant in your own learning. Think back to school, right? So much of it was passive learning. You're sitting quietly, you're listening, you're trying to memorize facts. Active learning is the total opposite. It's about leaning in, engaging your mind, you're asking questions, you're taking notes, you're connecting ideas, you're fully involved. And it just makes sense, doesn't it? You wouldn't try to learn how to swim by just watching videos of swimming. You got to get in the water. Learning works exactly the same way. Our brains are designed to learn by doing, by creating, and by interacting with information, not just by consuming it. Okay, now for the S in FAST, which stands for state. And I'm telling you, this might just be the most powerful piece of the entire framework. It's this idea that your emotional state is directly tied to your ability to learn and to remember. It really all comes down to this simple but profound formula. Just think about it for a second. Why do you remember your first concert or a major life event so clearly? Because there was a strong emotion attached to the information. All learning is state dependent. If you're bored or tired, you won't remember a thing. But if you're curious, excited, and engaged, that's when you create powerful, long-term memories. So how do you manage your state? Kwik uses this brilliant analogy. A thermometer, it just reflects the temperature of the room. It reacts. But a thermostat sets the temperature. It controls the environment. We have to be the thermostat for our own minds. And you know what? It can be as simple as changing your posture right now. Sit up a little straighter, pull your shoulders back, take a deep breath. That little physical shift can actually change your emotional state and get your brain ready to learn. We all know that famous Spider-Man line, right? With great power comes great responsibility. Well, Jim Kwik flips it on its head. He says when you take responsibility for your own state, for your focus, your energy, your attitude, that's when you get the real power. The power to learn and achieve anything you want. And that brings us to the final letter, T for teach. This is such a great learning hack that locks in knowledge like nothing else. So here's how it works. When you approach any subject with the intention of having to explain it to someone else later, your brain it totally shifts gears. It stops trying to just memorize random facts, and instead it starts looking for the big ideas, simplifying the complex parts, and organizing everything in a way that makes sense. And here's the incredible payoff. You're basically getting a 2-for-1 deal on your study time. You learn it once for yourself, and then you learn it a second, much deeper time as you prepare to teach it. It is one of the best learning accelerators out there, period. So there you have it, the FAST method in a nutshell. F, forget what you know to open your mind. A, be an active participant. S, take control of your emotional state for better memory. And T, learn with the intent to teach it. And that brings us to the end. But look, knowing this method is one thing. Applying it is everything. You now have the blueprint to learn absolutely anything more effectively. So the real question is, what's the first thing you're going to master?